Count me, because we all count.
Count all of us. Nothing about us without us.
Count me.
Count me. We all count too.
Count me.
Count me. We all count too.
Count me. We are people too.
Count all of us. Nothing about us without us. Because we all count for the coming census.
Gifts of love with dread, bringing love for you this year. Communion showing that we care, with gifts of love with dread.
We're bringing you gifts of love with cheer at the communal. This Christmas, we are your Santa. It's all about sharing the warmth of this season with those you love. Get in on this special loan, taking advantage of great interest rates with no principal payments until January 2022. Share the gift of love. Make it a merrier Christmas with the communal. Exciting prizes for members throughout the promotion. For we are your Santa this Christmas. Offer ends January 31st, 2022. Lending terms and conditions apply.
Communion showing that we care, with gifts of love with joy.
Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store now has amazing deals, special discounted prices on wedding sets, watches and selected jewelry. We sell top brand jewelry and watches like Citizen, Guess and Klein and G-Shock, all at the best prices in Grenada. We also buy scrap gold and offer the best deals and customer service on the island. Opening hours Mondays to Saturdays 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store, located at the Esplanade Mall, St. George's, Grenada. Visit our brand new remodeled store or call us on telephone number 414-3114, 232-1234 or WhatsApp 533-1581. Sale is on for a limited time only.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform? Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Free delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Okay, and we'd like to say welcome to one and all to another Mikey Live program, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. We're getting straight into the business. Let's see what's making news for tonight. River Road, public road closed to vehicular traffic. We'll talk to you about that. The Ministry of Health defends its testing policy. All of the nation's students will be returning to the classroom for face-to-face classes on January 10th. That's next week. Now, the GOT president says it's a bad idea to send the children back to school. And we're going to hear from the chief medical officer about that. He says we cannot suspend and postpone the education of our children any further. He says it just cannot be tolerated. St. Lucian man charged with murdering his own mother. And in the UK, pre-departure travel tests to be scrapped. So we have all of that and more to talk to you about on tonight's Mikey Live program. We got to let you know the headlines was brought to you through the kind compliments of Courts Grenada Limited, Digicel Nawasa, the Housing Authority of Grenada, Real Value IGA Supermarket, and Superb Distributors. Thank you very much. And those of you who are watching, remember that someone sharing the program will receive some free credit. Compliments, Digicel. We're taking that break and we'll be back shortly.
Rich, smooth, delicious, and packed with vitamins that could only be one thing. It's Rika Almond Beverage. Great on its own or a lovely addition to smoothies. So call Superb Distributors on 435-2948 or visit us at Tempe St. George's today. Remember, Rika is life and life is Rika.
the Housing Authority offers products that people can choose from, products that people can access, and I think anyone looking to build, just call the Housing Authority of Grenada. The service was superb. Every step of the way, they collaborated with the owner, they collaborated with the builder. The builder himself was really good. For what I've seen them do, I have to say that from buildings they have done in the past to where they are now, they have come up to speed with modern trends, modern designs, and I think I will advise anybody to choose the Housing Authority of Grenada.
We enjoy the luxury of a quality water supply. But it can come to this. Have adequate storage.
And welcome back to another Mikey Live program. Again, those of you who are joining us. All right. Now, let's get straight into what's making the news. For y'all find that song a little hoarse? What went on there, boy? Next thing, Jesus! I think it's a little cold in here. That's what's going on. Now, let's get into the news, right? All right. So the Inland Revenue Division, the IRD, advises the general public that all licenses except motor vehicle license were due for payment annually on January 7th. All right. Now, all professionals, you are therefore encouraged to pay your license on or before Friday, January 7th. Now, these include, but they are not limited to, accountants, architects, you have barristers, lawyers, solicitors, people like auditors, pharmacists, real estate agents, surveyors, wiremen, etc., 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 etc. Now, and they are saying that you will know who you are. All right, even contractors, commercial travelers. All right, commission agents, engineers, pharmacists, and real estate agents, and blah, blah, blah. It's quite a bit of them. All right. Now you are reminded that a person is required by law to acquire a license under the License Act Cap 172. Who neglects to do so shall be guilty of an offense and is liable to a fine of $500. Failure to pay licensing fees by the given date will also restrict access to other government services. The Inland Revenue Division expresses profound gratitude to the general public for its continued cooperation and encourages members of the public to stay committed to their obligations under the law. And I think the big story for tonight is the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force when they sent out notice advising the general public and in particular motorists that the River Road Public Road, St. George, is closed to vehicular traffic with immediate effect. All right. Now, this closure was due to an unfolding situation of the undermining of the roadway, and there were collapse of some walls and so on. Now, as a result of this, the traffic leaving and entering the town of St. George has been diverted to Mount Rush Public Road, and members of the motoring public are encouraged to exercise due care and attention while using this roadway due to an increase in the volume of traffic. Now, the Traffic Department apologizes for any inconveniences caused and anticipates the cooperation of everyone. Now, Desmond John of the Sunrise Construction Company explains exactly what happened today, because you know that there were no prior warnings about that. It just happened this morning. We just received the news, and there were people in the traffic right there when it was being announced on the radio that traffic was going to be diverted and so on. So it took a lot of people by surprise. But anyway, he explained exactly what happened.
We have constructed 50% of the wall in the area where we have the impediment right now. And as we continue to excavate, the wall that was existing, which had no integrity, actually slide into the river. So on its own, It has taken care of some of the excavation that we had to do, but what we have to do now is to continue excavating the footing, casting our wall as fast as possible so we can stabilize that area and allow traffic to flow. Again, in the future, I need to consult with the consultants and my technical team so we can actually give a timeline of exactly when the temporary access for River Road will be opened up again.
All right. Also, the Minister for Infrastructure Development, Senator Nolan Cox, said that that was expected. However, it just happened sooner than expected.
That is the area that has to be pulled out. Those are the unstable walls. And so it's just because of the work that is going on there, and it's happening so quickly that you start having some movement because of the traffic. We also would have, in preparation for that, would have done bypass road going up to Mount Rush, so that once we close off there, persons can traverse to that area. So we expected it, we expected the closure, but in terms of the progress that is taking place in terms of the movement of the road, it happened a little sooner than we anticipated. It's just that work is happening, and that is projects. That's the nature of projects. Sometimes things happen sooner than you anticipated, but at least we were expecting some closure on that roadway going forward.
So the question of schools.
All right. No, Dr. Charles, we're not ready for you. Take your time. We're not ready for you, Dr. Charles. We'll come back to you. Give that 2 minutes, no dog. So, as a result of this, consumers in the River Road area surrounding communities are experiencing an interruption in their water supply. All right. They say it is as a result of what's happening right now. Ongoing work in the area resulted in a portion of the road being broken, as you all already know. The network had to be closed, they say, to facilitate the excavation work and subsequent stabilizing of the main. Now, given that the excavation work is being done by the Ministry of Works team and not NAWASA's team, a timeline for the restoration cannot be provided at this time, they say. Consumers, you are therefore encouraged to utilize your stored supply, taking into consideration your pets, your family, and everything like that. All right? It was an extensive amount of damage, as some of you might have already seen. We can show that to you. You know, yeah, boy. So that is what it looked like. Yeah, so you see a lot of cracks and so on, and so it's really dangerous to even ask vehicles to try to traverse that particular. Well, that's a nice angle that you can actually get to see what's happening on that end. So you see even the pipelines and all of that. So you see how things have been affected there. All right. So it's that. It's yeah. So they're hoping that soon you'll be able again to organize yourself, organize your business, something like that. All right. Okay. So we're now getting word here that the water has just been restored. Okay. Again, we are now getting word that the water has been restored. So that would be good for persons. So please share the word around. But I know that sometimes, based on the kind of elevation you live in, you would find that it would take a little longer for people who are living in higher elevated areas, all right, to get the water. So if you see that you're in our water yet, because we're telling you it seems that it has been restored. So if you see you get anything yet, don't rush the brush. You'll get like just now. All right. Okay. What else can I tell you? Right. Okay. So let me show you. Let me show me. Right. Good. Right. So the next thing that we have to tell you about, boy. Hold on. Okay, I know I made a mistake on the date of the live on YouTube, but that's small thing. We'll change that, right? So we have to apologize to our YouTube viewers. Yeah, somebody just said, Mikey, we're going to do that. Don't worry, we'll change that. Yes. All right. So we are just about trying to. You see, I sound a little distracted. We are trying to get the dashboard. All right, I'm just trying to see if I can get a hold of the dashboard, okay? Now, the Ministry of Health in Grenada, they has categorically denied allegations, and we were telling you about that last night, that people who turn up to the state-run health facilities for COVID-19 testing and are not displaying any symptoms are being turned away. Now, there have been growing complaints that people who have not been displaying any symptoms of COVID-19 but have been in contact with people who have tested positive for the virus have been turned away by health professionals. It is rumored that those people are being told, go home and isolate. However, speaking at the first weekly post-cabinet briefing of 2022 on Tuesday, the Health Minister, Nicholas Steele, is responding to questions. In responding to questions by the media, said that turning asymptomatic person away is unethical and not a policy of the government. He says that, let me categorically say that this is not the policy of the Ministry of Health. Persons can get tested under the conditions that the CMO specifies, and we're going to talk about that as well. All right. Now, he claimed that the allegations are ridiculous, saying that people who have to get tested to travel are not getting tested because they are exhibiting any symptoms. He says that I cannot speak to what some individuals may be saying, but I can say by and large that in almost all of our health centers, we have been testing, taking persons in, and they have been getting tested and going back to work or going into isolation with the results depending on what the results is. Now, it still is maintaining that the government's policy of testing for all as asymptomatic people can contract and spread the virus as well. He says that we have clearly stated here that this disease and this variant in particular can impact someone who is asymptomatic and can be infectious or contagious, unquote. Meanwhile, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sean Charles, further explained why this has never been a policy of the government. He says that you will never detect an asymptomatic person. You will never detect an asymptomatic case if you adopt such a policy. So no, that is not in accord with our policy. All right, so that's what they are saying. You have a lot of people are saying otherwise, you know, and I spoke to one nurse who says, hey, there's a screening process. What's the point in testing someone now if they were only exposed yesterday when you would not be able to get any sort of positive test out of them based on that contact, because the incubation time, it takes a couple of days. You know, so I have one nurse who told me that what is happening is a routine screening process. So in cases where someone was exposed and they come in today, or they were exposed yesterday and they come in today, they will be told, okay, you can go back home, spend another 2 days and come back so that we can test you, so that we can get a more positive result. Or a more accurate, sorry, not positive, but a more accurate result. All right, we are moving on. So the question was asked yesterday, right? And we have a lot of people asking these questions. Okay, so the cases that are detected here in Grenada, are the cases that show up on the dashboard? Are they imported cases? Or how many of these are imported cases? How many of these are local cases? Now, the health minister responded to that question.
When we did the sampling, the 11 individuals that we sampled had no travel history. So these weren't people that came in to then go back or so. These were people that were living here, and they didn't have somebody come and visit them either. These were individuals that were here. When you go to, once you declare community spread, you do make a separation. You stop making that defined classification between imported, or those in quarantine, and those in community. When we go back to where we have very little or zero cases in circulation, we will then say that this positive or these 2 positives or these 5 positives are in quarantine and they're travel related. And you would have heard us say that in and between when those circumstances do exist. Right now, we are in a case of community spread here, so there isn't that significant separation because it still remains there's a constant small on the travel, a 2 or 3 or so max in any given week, travel related. Because persons take that test before travel, many of them will test positive before coming to Grenada and will not be allowed to board the flight.
All right, thank you very much, Minister Steele. And then you have now the Chief Medical Officer. He's saying that information as to whether or not they are local cases or imported cases, it's irrelevant. He says it's not important.
Let me just say that the thing is, whether we report on cases of COVID in Grenada, all right, whether that case travels into Grenada and was detected here, or is someone in the community that was detected here, we report on cases that exist in Grenada. And the division of imported and local, it's of little significance. And why it's of little significance is because Grenada has community spread of COVID-19. We are unable to identify a clear link for many cases. All right, because the disease is spreading here, person to person. All right. Now that division, and I like the word division, that division about imported and local, it tends to convey a false sense of security that it's someone else that is doing it to us. All right. Or it's someone else's problem, or is, or it is the ports, or it is a false, it conveys, the wrong impression, when the fact of the matter is that the disease is here. Since it entered and since we developed community spread, it has not left. We are still detecting Delta. All right, over just about 3 weeks ago was our last detected case of Delta. This test was done at Carfa. So we should not be looking at this and assuming for a moment that this is something that is coming from outside. Grenada is, COVID is now endemic throughout the world. Right? COVID is now endemic throughout the world, including here. We're all human. All right. So these false divisions of them and us, we do not support it because it does not add any value to the information that we have. All right. What matters is what we do to protect one another and ourselves.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sean Charles. Although I beg to differ, but maybe because I'm in the field of information, I'm just strict when it comes to data, and we should. Data. I learned that really at a young age, even when I started expressing my interest in when I started feeling that, I might get into that field. You get the sense that you must always record in the moment as much data as possible, because you may never know how it will inform decisions that you are in need of making in the future. And then it will be then too late to go back to capture that data. You just can't. It's like having to exhume a body if you fail to perform the proper post-death tests, an autopsy or whatever it is that you have to. Then you have to go exhume and then the evidence might be compromised based on several factors. And so data is always important. You should not, and that is something I tell myself all the time, you should not always attempt to interpret information in isolation of that thing. So you just don't do that. You keep the information, and for whatever intent and purposes that you may need it, then you go back to it. But do not always try to interpret the meaning of things and then disregard having to record it properly. So that is how I treat information. Yeah. So that's why I have to disagree. It is important to know. And if it's not important in this moment to publish, but at least it's important, and I hope that it is happening. It will be important in my mind to at least record the data. At least record the data. All right? So, we are moving on. Thank you again, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sean Charles. Now, all of the nation's students will be returning to the classroom for face-to-face classes on January 10th. That's next week. All right, so that's off next week, Monday. And Grenada's Chief Medical Officer, who we just heard from, Dr. Sean Charles, he has given full support to this move. Now, during the post-cabinet briefing yesterday, Dr. Charles noted that the COVID-19 pandemic is continuing to do severe harm to the nation's children, depriving them of that in-person instruction. You understand? But the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, that's Jude Bartholomew, says, well, listen, it's a bad idea to send the children back to school. Maybe you could do a blended learning or anything like that. You know what I mean? He says it's a bad idea. But Dr. Charles says we just cannot suspend and postpone the education of our children any further. And he even goes far as saying he's surprised that there isn't a national outcry regarding the well-being of students or of children. You understand? He's saying that the people who can afford it will be able to educate their children. When he decide to shut down schools, he says, the people who can afford it will be able to keep their children educated and stuff like that. But what about those who can't?
So the question of schools. Let me first say this. The thing is, this pandemic has done and is continuing to do irreparable harm to our children. The consequences of this, I am not sure if the Grenadian society is fully aware of, and is fully we are prepared. If we are prepared to tackle the social isolation that exists right now, as it relates to our school children, the worsening of the inequities that exist right now with regards to families who have the means and families who have not. All of these things are doing severe damage to our children. This is something that we cannot ignore anymore. And it's not just us. There are countries that have worse outbreaks than ours, and schools are prioritized to open. The thing is, this thing is not going to change tomorrow. It may not change this year. It may not change next year. But our children cannot wait. And our society needs to understand that. You know, we need to understand that we cannot suspend and we cannot postpone the education of our children any further. there are many children that are simply, they're falling off the radar. I don't know how we can ignore this. I don't know how anyone can justify this any further. I mean, I would support the full opening of schools. We will address whatever challenges comes up. If there are children who, or there are schools that are affected, we will go in, we will test, we will quarantine. But we can't keep these children at home forever. It is beyond, it's no longer acceptable. And the thing is, I am surprised that there isn't an outcry for the children. I do not know what has happened to our society, but there isn't an outcry for the children. There are children who probably have received no instruction for going on 2 years because their families have no electricity, they have no phones, they have no. What happened to them? Where do they fit into society? I mean, this is my own personal take on the situation. That if we don't have persons advocating for education of our children, you know what is going to happen? The families that can afford will ensure that their children continue to have an education. And the families that are struggling, we offer no hope for those families and for those children to get out of poverty. Because education is one of the most sure ways of getting families out of poverty. So, when you look at benefits versus risk, there is nothing more damaging that this pandemic can do, because it is already robbing the future of from these children. And I'm just surprised that we are not hearing about this. And that is my personal take. Schools at this point is a necessity, is an absolute necessity. It's an absolute necessity. There is no excuse at this point. That's my take.
Okay, so let me say this. Let me say this. It's been a while, a good while. I have not heard someone in authority speak with such conviction and authority and taking responsibility for all of the outcome, as I've just heard Dr. Sean Charles speak. Charles, we had to take a drink on that piece. No, on a serious note, because many a times that we err on the side of caution because we want to be politically correct. We want to, we don't want to step on too many people's toes. This man goes straight to the hole. He don't look left, he don't look right, he don't look back in his road. He says, we cannot afford to keep our children on the back burner as we have. As we have been doing. He says, you know what? We will. We're going to go and test. We're going to do what we have to do. But they're going back in school. That's what he meant. Jano. That doesn't speak to whether I agree or disagree. All I'm saying is, when you're in something, you got to believe in what you do. You got to stand by what you do, despite. Alright? And I have not seen in a long time. I'm telling all of that. You tell me too. I have not seen in a long time somebody stood for what they believe and articulate their position in such a manner and taking responsibility for what the outcome may be. You know what I mean? All right, Charles, take win. We're moving on. How we looking? Whoa, yo, the time flying, boy. But here's what. We have just received the latest COVID-19 dashboard from the Ministry of Health. And the situation is not improving. The first day of the week, it was 193. Second day of the week, it was 256. Today, we are recording. We recorded, look. 314 new cases of COVID-19 recorded in Grenada. Today, alone. from a total of 1,534 tests conducted, taking our positivity rate to Jesus 20.5%. Ask Charles and them in the context of community spread, what's an acceptable positivity rate? And he go tell you. Somewhere about 5% or something below that. Emerald, what's an acceptable positivity rate in the context of community spread? Have a test positivity of 20.5. Listen. Janu. So out of every 100 people that get test, you have 20 people positive. You understand? Or you can say out of, listen, this is high. That's all I don't have to break. High. You have seen it's a steady 193, 256, 314. We're going up. And Dinah, listen, hold on. Dinah New Year's numbers yet. Most numbers. And that is, and some of the secondary infections from the previous weekend numbers we're hearing here now. Weekend gone yet. We ain't talking about that yet. They take a positive for that. Friend, grenade. With your mask. The virus might not kill you, but that you. One second. I don't know what going on there. Yeah. One second there. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe me again a bad signal there. Yeah. Just give me a minute, Give me a minute, let me sort that out. Yeah, so forget what people say. Follow your protocol. Do what you know is right. The 6 feet distance, you're pretty. Washing and sanitizing of your hand, you're pretty. You understand? Wearing of your mask properly, you're pretty. This is serious business that we're talking about here. This is something serious that we're dealing with. All right? And the life that you save might just be yours. You know what I mean? 314 words. Where is it? 314 cases, but I don't know with all here, take all the time. So now we see that there are 4 persons who are hospitalized. All right, so prior to now, we told you that there were no one in hospital and things like that, because people seem to be doing fine in terms of recovery. But now we see that there are 4 persons currently hospitalized. Now, if we're looking at our active cases alone now, our active cases are now stands at 1,179. Again, 1,179 active cases of COVID-19 in Grenada. I think Barbados had somewhere around 500 and something new cases today. But Barbados' population is way ahead of ours. But we're right there with them. You know what I mean? Yeah, boy. So all they take all the time, study all ahead. You know what I mean? Let me do what we had to do. 7,101 cumulative cases since we detected our first case. Cumulative recoveries 5,722. All right. Tests conducted 99,585. Understand? Vaccines 35,980. Fully vaccinated. Partially vaccinated 5,707. And the booster shots 3,065. All right, so we had a study we had. You know what I mean? So yeah. As we running out of time, let me talk some more things. Police have charged a 53-year-old man with murdering his own mother, whose body was found at her home, all right, in a village in the south of the island on December 31st, 2021 in St. Lucia.
Some had hoped that year 2 of the pandemic would have ended on a more upbeat note given all the bloodshed throughout 2021. But alas, that would not be the case. The Jacmel community would be rocked by the murder of an elderly woman on the last day of the year. On Friday, December 31st, 2021, law enforcement and first responders found a 70-year-old Florence Augustine, also known as Vina, unresponsive near her home in Blackstone, Jacmel, with marks of violence about the body. Initial reports indicate that the senior was strangled to death. The prime suspect in the case is reportedly the victim's son. What would drive someone to allegedly take the life of the person who brought them into this world? The family is still trying to piece together the details. Niece Emily Samuel says she heard someone calling for help before learning of what happened.
When I heard the call, I walked on him. I told him what's his problem. He told me is my aunt that's on the ground. There was in a problem there, so I saw his body was dirty. I asked him what happened to him. He told me what happened. So I came, I see the lady on the ground.
Samuel said she called emergency personnel and was instructed to check for a heartbeat. Augustine was later pronounced dead on the scene by medical officials.
He told me to call the ambulance to take my aunt to the hospital. We called the ambulance. We spoke to police. They asked me if the lady moving. I said I don't know because I didn't touch her. They tell me to check to see, and that's the time he had put him to sit down. After I checked to see if she had pulse and stuff. I didn't find any pulse on her. But it's when the police came, ambulance and stuff, the people came, they check on her, and they pronounced her dead. And that's the time we know she passed. The man used to be with her a very long time, but then people relationship was always there. He always used to be by her. That was a friend to her.
This is the second senior citizen who has been the victim of a heinous attack in the past few weeks. Earlier in December 2021, a lone male intruder armed with a knife attacked a woman in her 90s at her home in Babuno. The executive director of the National Council of and for Older Persons has denounced the recent assaults on older persons. She says families need to do a better job at caring for older folks.
It is we, the children, that's supposed to make sure that our mothers and our fathers are being taken care of. They are not alone. Because as far as I learned that the lady in Babuno, she lives alone. Where are the children? Does she have children? The other one in Jacmel, I was told, I'm not sure. That's what I was told and that's what I heard. It was her own son who did her whatever that happened. So where do we go from here? If it happened to, we are the ones that's supposed to protect our elderly. We are the ones that are abusing them. So where do we go from there? Are we saying that government's supposed to do that for us? Government cannot do all. We are the ones that have to ensure that our elderly folks, mothers and fathers, are taken care of.
A post-mortem examination determined that Florence Augustine died as a result of strangulation. Her son, a 53-year-old construction worker and resident of Jacmel, Lenny Augustine, has been formally arrested and charged for causing her death. The accused was arraigned in the First District Court for a bail hearing on Tuesday, January 4, 2022. Florence Augustine would have celebrated her 71st birthday this month. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
Thank you, guys. And what we're going to do for you right now, let's just take a break and come back, drink some water and come back. And when we come back, we'll have the national report for you and as well the weather.
Count me, because we all count.
Count all of us. Nothing about us without us.
Count me.
Count me. We all count too.
Count me.
Count me. We all count too.
Count me. We are people too.
Count all of us. Nothing about us without us. Because we all count for the coming census.
Gifts of love with dread, bringing love for you this year. Communion showing that we care. With gifts of love with dread.
We're bringing you gifts of love with cheer at the communal. This Christmas, we are your Santa. It's all about sharing the warmth of this season with those you love. Get in on this special loan, taking advantage of great interest rates with no principal payments until January 2022. Share the gift of love. Make it a merrier Christmas with the communal. Exciting prizes for members throughout the promotion. For we are your Santa this Christmas. Offer ends January 31st, 2022. Lending terms and conditions apply.
Communion showing that we care. With gifts of love with dread.
Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store now has amazing deals, special discounted prices on wedding sets, watches and selected jewelry. We sell top brand jewelry and watches like Citizen, Guess and Klein and G-Shock, all at the best prices in Grenada. We also buy scrap gold and offer the best deals and customer service on the island. Opening hours Mondays to Saturdays 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store, located at the Esplanade Mall, St. George's, Grenada. Visit our brand new remodeled store or call us on telephone number 414-3114, 232-1234 or WhatsApp 533-1581. Sale is on for a limited time only.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform? Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Free delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Rich, smooth, delicious, and packed with vitamins that could only be one thing. It's Rika Almond Beverage. Great on its own or a lovely addition to smoothies. So call Superb Distributors on 435-2948 or visit us at Tempe St. George's today. Remember, Rika is life and life is Rika.
The Housing Authority offers products that people can choose from, products that people can access, and I think anyone looking to build, just call the Housing Authority of Grenada. The service was superb. Every step of the way, they collaborated with the owner, they collaborated with the builder. The builder himself was really good. For what I've seen them do, I have to say that from buildings they have done in the past to where they are now, they have come up to speed with modern trends, modern designs, and I think I will advise anybody to choose the Housing Authority of Grenada.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
You want a hand sanitizer to do 3 things: kill germs, be gentle, and to go where you go. You can get all of that in our hand sanitizer. Hard on germs, gentle on hands, affordable. Remember, hand sanitizers contain alcohol. Keep away from heat and flames and avoid contact with eyes. Available at retailers island-wide.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
We enjoy the luxury of a quality water supply. But it can come to this. Have adequate storage.
Welcome to Yogo. Most of you know us for our food delivery service and our food pass for free delivery from restaurants. But did you know you can also use us for grocery deliveries too? We've just added another 5,000 plus new items to Yogo's supermarket. And stay updated as we add more products and vendors. Yogo Services is our convenient skip the line offering. Let us pay your electric, water, and other utility bills for you. With us, you will be able to buy tickets, pay your rent, schedule bookings, and other services. Need a ride to get somewhere? Give Yogo Lyft a try. Select your pickup location and destination location and wait for our driver to collect you. Never have to worry about how you're gonna get to a place again. Please see website or app for our service locations. And sign up now.
Ministry of Infrastructure Development temporarily closed a section of River Road following the collapse of a retaining wall. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, January 5th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. The collapse of a retaining wall on a section of the River Road flood mitigation project that is now under construction has resulted in the temporary closure of the road from the intersection at Motley Hill to the Humpback Bridge. The section of the road that has failed is between the Stills Bridge and the River Road Post Office. Desmond John of Sunrise Construction Company Limited spoke with GIS about the cause of the problem and plans to fix it.
We have constructed 50% of the wall in the area where we have the impediment right now, and as we continue to excavate, the wall that was existing, which had no integrity, actually slide into the river. So on its own, it has taken care of some of the excavation that we had to do, but what we have to do now is to continue excavating the footing, casting our wall as fast as possible so we can stabilize that area and allow traffic to flow. Again, in the future, I need to consult with the consultants and my technical team so we can actually give a timeline of exactly when the temporary access for River Road will be opened up again.
I'm also seeing that you have like culverts separated on the roadway. Is it as a result of the slippage?
Yes, this fault line that have been established here has happened as a result of ingress of water. Because of the rain and because the culverts are not fully sealed and there are cracks and crevices, that water was able to slip into the existing road and create voids on the underside of the pavement and have some internal erosion that effectively resulted in what we are experiencing today.
Minister for Infrastructure Development, Senator Norland Cox, says the ministry has carried out remedial work to ensure there are adequate bypass routes to prevent an interruption in the flow of traffic.
that is the area that has to be pulled out. Those are the unstable walls. And so it's just because of the work that is going on there, and it's happening so quickly that you start having some movement because of the traffic. We also would have, in preparation for that, would have done bypass road going up to Mount Rush, so that once we close off there, persons can traverse to that area. So we expected it, we expected the closure, but in terms of the progress that is taking place in terms of the movement of the road, it happened a little sooner than we anticipated. It's just that work is happening, and that is projects. That's the nature of projects. Sometimes things happen sooner than you anticipated, but at least we were expecting some closure on that roadway going forward. So it's just that we just move in place quickly with it. The police with us, and we're going to engage the public as we have always do, persons in the area, and they expect some inconvenience, and we ask them to continue to work with us to ensure that we implement this project successfully and safely.
Head of the Traffic Department, Superintendent Randy Connaught, says public safety is paramount, hence the speedy move to reroute the traffic.
What we have since done is to close off that section of road from the Humbag Bridge on River Road end, and also up at the Deco end with the intersection with Motley Hill. Now I must say that it poses a bit of inconvenience to the motoring public, but all that was done was considered on the risk of personal safety and personal injury to individuals if such action was not taken. And definitely we had to provide an enabling environment for work to continue in that area, so that the necessary remedial action that was required can be undertaken in a safe environment. We have since made alternative traffic arrangements, so persons traveling to and from the town of St. George has an option. They can travel over the Maras Hill area and also through the Mount Rush Public Road. What we do advise, and we strongly advise, is that persons and motorists pay particular attention, because that particular strip of road going over to the Mount Rush area also service the road that takes you to the gravel and concrete emulsion plant where the gravel aggregates are being sourced. So we do expect quite a large volume of traffic traversing in that area, and it is also considered as a truck route.
Revenue projections are high this year for Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program after a 40% increase, which generated $150 million in 2021. Acting CEO Carlin Purcell says projections are set at over $300 million for this year. She told the Government Information Service recently that the program was not negatively affected by the pandemic, but instead realized an increase in the demand for investment. The CBI program aims to generate and create access to foreign direct investment, which promotes sustainable long-term employment, specialist training, and the general broadening of skills for numerous Grenadians. The majority of projects under the program are tourism-focused, falling in line with the government's plan to increase its hotel room stock.
The program has in fact been a lifesaver. While most sectors were seeing downturns, the COVID-19 presented a unique situation that allowed programs worldwide to have increased in the demand as business persons around the world and persons just looking to widen their reach, not depend on any particular economy, because they've seen what a pandemic like COVID can do. So persons are looking for opportunities to invest in other economies. As a result, the demand for the program worldwide has benefited, and obviously we would have benefited significantly from that as well.
She explained that the continuation of the program during the pandemic also saw an increase in employment within the construction sector.
The projects that have been ongoing have been they've continued throughout the pandemic, and for many of them they would have continued to employ persons, especially in construction, because most of them are in that phase. So during that construction phase, that's one of the sectors that while there were shortages of material and that sort of thing, they continued throughout the pandemic. So it was actually a sector in terms of the projects that are being developed through the CBI program, those continue to exist during the program. However, the investment, so while the projects are happening, persons will continue to invest in those programs, in those projects that allow for them to be built out. And as that is happening, we would have seen that we would have experienced almost 40% increase in our numbers.
Grenada's CBI program continues to boast of a due diligence that sets it apart from other programs in the region.
And our due diligence is second to none. We can boast of that because it's a very vigorous one. We have due diligence happening at varying levels of the process, from the time the application comes in at the marketing agents level, at the local agents level, at the banks level. It can be anywhere from about, we've seen some 40, 45 days, all the way up to 90 days, 120 days. And I'm saying that with a caveat, simply because sometimes we have to inquire, we have to go back for information. So there's that, sometimes you go back to get additional information on that particular application based on what was found in the process of, the due diligence and that sort of thing. So it varies. Each application is different. There are some standard things that must be submitted, and we tend not to lapse on those things.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Education Minister Honorable Emmeline Pierce says her ministry and stakeholders are preparing for the full reopening of school on Monday, January 10th. That decision is being made based on guidance from the Ministry of Health and Social Security and considering the current COVID-19 situation. However, that decision is subject to change if the climate worsens. She was speaking as a guest on the GBN's Live to the Point program on Wednesday. Minister Pierce says government is comfortable with the decision to fully reopen schools and assures that the COVID-19 climate will be monitored daily to determine the way forward.
On the 99th moment, before Monday, we've always alerted stakeholders there can be a change. We are preparing based on the current guidance as of, yesterday evening. Ministry of Health, and I know there are concerns about the numbers. Where are we now? We probably at numbers we did not have in the last couple months. The Ministry of Health is saying, one, we note the instructions, we note the guidance from international agencies, the World Health Organization, as it relates to COVID spread in schools. We note what UNICEF and UNESCO is saying about children and learning loss, and we are comfortable based on the fact that this particular variant is behaving quite differently to the Delta variant. We are still comfortable with a full reopening.
Minister Pierce explained the protocols in place for each institution, which includes sanitization, social distancing, and the chain of communication in the event of a possible spread.
On entry, every child should be wearing a mask, right? And the principals are aware of what do they do if a child is not wearing a mask. You should not even be accepting that child, or you should be finding a way of providing or supporting or getting help from the ministry in that regard. Now, when that child gets into the classroom environment, as of this week, what is happening, the numbers would be very small. So in that school you're speaking about, I'm suspecting, let us say it's a pre or primary school, you probably might have about 20 students this week or less than. Some cases might be 5 or 6 students. So they are physically distanced, right? In addition to that, immediately that the principal is aware that this child is positive or display any sign at all, whether it's a headache, the fever, whatever, the principal has actions, protocols to follow. Immediately contact the parent of that child. Immediately isolate. Immediately ensure that that child is removed from the compound. And there's some line of communication now, communication with the Ministry of Education. So it appears that that school has not communicated based on what the CEO said. Communication there is important.
Finally, in the news, work is progressing according to plan on the construction of a 3,000 feet Mount Kuma asphalt bypass road from Beaulieu Northeast End to Grenville Vale that will serve as a main thoroughfare once work commences on the Molineux land slippage during the first quarter of this year. The project also includes the construction of a slipper and box drain, retaining walls, and a new bridge. On Wednesday, Minister for Infrastructure Development, Senator Norland Cox, visited the project site with the GIS to get a progress report on the work done so far.
It's basically a new roadway. It's a road that was there long ago, but it has been stopped use for some time, a number of years. And so we're very much excited to open up this new roadway, make it more from a commercial standpoint so large trucks can pass here to traverse to get to the north side of the island. And as you know, this action here is as a significant result of because of the Molineux landslip. And so that is one of the reasons why we are very excited about this, being able to have alternative routes. Now, more separate and apart from Willis, now we have this road here now which is much more wider, much more safer for trucks as against Willis and Mount Morris, of course. So we're excited about the work that is taking place. There's a bridge to be built. Entire roadway to be done, and we are happy with the progress so far.
So far, Senator Cox says everything seems to be on track to be delivered within the 7 months as stipulated in the contract.
Projects are dynamics, and you're always going to have challenges shifting. At times you're going to lose time. You have areas that you're going to gain back time, but we do not have any significant challenges in terms of time. We do have some issues with land acquisition. Those are normal things on projects like this, where you might need to widen the road satisfactorily. It may go into somebody's private property, but we have mechanisms in place for that. And so everything seems to be moving pretty nicely so far. No major issues, no major setbacks.
Gilbert and Partners Engineering Company is constructing the road, while consultancy is provided by Gleans Engineering Company. That story just ended the national report for Wednesday, January 5th. Let's recap the top story. Ministry of Infrastructure Development temporarily closed a section of River Road following the collapse of a retaining wall. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Thank you very much, Rikisha, and the rest of the GIS news team. And now for a look at the weather. We expect the weather to be generally fair with a few light showers. Tonight's minimum temperature 23 degrees Celsius. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, very cool. I think that's the coolest it's going to be for the year so far. Winds east-northeasterly to easterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Seas moderate with waves 4 to 6 feet in open waters. And we expect that the low tides will be at 12:22 a.m. Now, let's take a look at the weather for Thursday. Thursday's weather is expected to be generally fair, becoming partly cloudy at times. The max temperature 30.5 degrees Celsius and the minimum 23 degrees Celsius. Winds easterly to southeasterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Seas moderate with waves 4 to 6 feet in open waters. And that's our weather report for tonight and for tomorrow, God's willing. And let's say hello to a few people. Meryl, my sister, Mr. McQueen and Zilon, Ventress, Ezran, Carol, Mike, Kemisha, Micaiah, Irma, and Angel. We also would say hello to Brenda, Roderick, and Shamin Bihari. Who else we have with us? We have Avril with us as well. Donna We see that you're there with us, so blessings to you as well on the program. Martha, all right, Martha, you're there, and Javar, blessings. Celine is with us as well, and Linda, hi Linda, Linda Lewis, Ezron, I said Ezron already, Wendy Ann and Eunice, and Cindy, the usual suspects, Erlis, Ronnie, all right, and Lintana, yes, and Udine is with us as well. So hello to you, Udine. God bless you and your family. Anne Maria. Hello to you, and Yvonne. We have more than one Yvonne's in the program. We have Yvonne Aban. We have Yvonne Mackenzie. Hello to you, and Kathy is with us as well. So blessings to you as well, Kathy. Who else is with us? Glenda, I see you're there. Ventress and Ansha, that you're there as well. We see Michelle. We have more than one Michelle's on the program as well. So blessings to you, Michelle. All right, and Tyrell, hello to you. And Ruby is with us today. We have our folks also on YouTube looking at it on big screen. Mommy and them, and they just show off when they're looking at it on big screen. And I mean, so blessings to you, Glenora, Bonnie. Blessings to you, all right. Who else is with us? Roderick. Oh, you want the puppy? Roderick, come now. Bring $1 million when they come in. Barbara, how are you doing? Irma, and everybody else. We want to say hello to you guys. All right, guys. So take care. Let's go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We all say ja. No. Yeah, and check me out on WeFM tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Listen, I think that's why I host sooner. It's a lot of talking. You know, when I retire, my tongue go happy, and it's a lot of talking. So anyway, blessings. Yeah, join me tomorrow, God's willing, 6 a.m. WeFM Radio. We are online, wefmgrenada.com, and on our frequencies 93.3 and 9. Take care. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We all say ja. No. Take care.